Hi, so this is Irene, and today we're going to try to solve the Wireshark activity that was provided in class. You've been provided with a pcap file, and you are to use that pcap file to answer the questions that are provided. There are around like 9 questions to answer. So you'll find the activity in the hands-on section, and there's a page called Wireshark Activity in the hands-on section, so that's how you access it. So first things first, we'll need to log into our VM. So right now I'm in my VM of I logged into my Outlook and then went to OneNote. And what I'm going to do is I am going to save this file in a virtual machine. All right. So it has been downloaded. Yeah, so this is the file, okay? Now I probably will be renaming the file so that it's easier to, navigate to it. But we go to files and then to downloads. And this is the file. So I'll rename it to um, current file. Okay, great. So we go to the terminal. So we go to download to CD, downloads. And in downloads, you'll see that we have the current file, right? So we want to open this file in Wireshark, and to do so, we type Wireshark and then the file name with the extension. So it's current file. Oh, I actually think you don't need to put the extension if I'm not wrong. Let's see. Yep, you don't need to put the extension. It's just Wireshark and the file name. Next up, we'll try to answer the questions that were provided using this file. In Wireshark, filter for HTTP packets by typing HTTP in the display filter right here. Display filter bar at the top. This will show all the HTTP traffic in the pcap file. So let's type HTTP here and press enter. I remember the first question that you had is the browser running on HTTP version 1.0 or 1.1? So if you have a look at this line over here, the blue one, you'll see that the browser is using HTTP version 1.1 as seen in the GET request. That is the GET slash ethereal labs slash lab 223.html and HTTP 1.1. Okay. And then the next question that you have is what version of HTTP is the server running? Now, if you go to the next line, you'll see that the server is also using HTTP version 1.1. This is the response, which is HTTP 1.1 200 OK, right? So the answer to what version of HTTP is the server running should be 1.1 as well. Now, moving on to the next question, that is, what languages, if any, does your browser indicate that it can accept to the server? For that, we will need to inspect the HTTP GET request to check for the header. So it's basically this one. Further inspecting the hypertext transfer protocol, you'll see that accept language, EN hyphen US, that just suggests that it is US English, right? Moving on to question number 4, what are the IP addresses of the client and the server? So where will you find that? If you look at the first packet, you'll see that the source in the first packet gives us the client IP address, which is 192.168.1.102, and the destination in the first packet, which is 128.119.245.12, that is the server IP address. Moving on to question number 5. What is the status code returned from the server to your browser? So that's very much visible here. 200 is the status code and OK is the status phrase. So 200 basically tells you that everything went OK, and it just indicates that the request was successful. And then moving on to the next question, that is, when was the HTML file that you are retrieving last modified at the server? You got to look at the second package, which is packet 14, which is the HTTP response from the server, and you got to expand the hypertext transfer protocol section by clicking the little arrow here. And you just gotta look for the last modified right there. Okay, so that's Tuesday, 23 September 2003, and then you have the time here, 5:37:01 GMT. So if the last modified header is present, it will just give you the last modified date and time for the HTML file. And if you don't see in the expanded view, it means that the server didn't send it. Okay. So what else? What other questions do we have? Let me just check. So I believe this was question 6. And then question 7 is, how many bytes of the content are being returned to your browser? Okay. So if you look at the content length over here, that's in bytes. So the answer for that is 4500 bytes. Moving on to the next. It asks you to inspect the contents of the first HTTP GET request from your browser to the server, and it asks you, do you see an if modified since line in the HTTP GET? So we actually don't. We don't. Because if you like click on it and try to see if you can find anything, so it does not really contain an if modified since header. The browser is basically not checking if the requested file has been modified since a previous visit. Next up, we have the question, inspect the contents of the server response. Did the server explicitly return the contents of the file? How can you tell? So we go to packet 14. You do see that there is a status code of 200 and a status code OK, right? So the server response does include this, but uh, you would also have to check the HTTP response body in order to see if the file content is explicitly returned. So, so basically, if you click on this small arrow here, line-based text data. All right, there you go. So it means that it has explicitly returned the contents of an HTML file, and it's just, I mean, the 200 OK status does confirm that, but you can really see it over here as well, like the body that has been returned. And lastly, the question, how many HTTP request messages did the browser send? So from what we can see here from the provided packets, one HTTP GET request was sent, which is shown in packet 8. You would need to, yeah, so that's it, really. If you have any other questions, if you happen to have any confusion even after this video, feel free to reach out to me via email. I'd be very happy to help. Thank you.